Okay, this is chapters 32 and 33 of Book Lovers. 32. Now I understand why I didn't cry for all those years. I want it to stop. I want the pain tamped down, divided into manageable pockets. All this time I thought being seen as monstrous was the worst thing that could happen to me. Now I realize I'd rather be frigid than what I really am. Deep down, every second of every day. Weak, helpless, so fucking scared it's going to come apart. Scared of losing everything, scared of crying, that once I start I'll never be able to stop and everything I built will crumble under the weight of my unruly emotions. And for a long time I don't stop. I cry until my throat burns, until my eyes hurt, until there aren't any tears left and my sobs settle into hiccups, until I'm numb and exhausted. By then, the office has gone dark except for the old banker-style lamp on the desk. When I close my eyes, the roaring in my ears has faded, leaving behind the steady thud of Charlie's heartbeat. She's leaving, I whisper, testing it out, practicing accepting it as truth. Did she say why? He asks. I shrug within his arms. All the normal reasons people leave. I always thought. His thumb hooks my jaw again, and he angles my eyes to his. All my exes, all my friends, half the people I work with, I say, they've all moved on, and every time it was okay because I love the city and my job and because I had Libby. My voice wobbles, and now she's moving on too. When Mom died and we lost the apartment, it was like our whole history got swallowed up. The city and each other, that's all Libby and I have left of her. Charlie gives one firm shake of his head. She's your sister, Nora. She's never going to leave you behind. I'm not out of tears after all. My eyes flood again. His hands run over my shoulders, squeezing the back of my neck. It's not you she doesn't want, Nora. It is, I say. It's me. It's our life. It's everything I tried to build for her. It wasn't enough. Look, he says. Whenever I'm here, it feels like the walls are closing in on me. I love my family, I do. But I've spent 15 years coming home as rarely as possible because it's fucking lonely to feel like you don't fit somewhere. I never wanted to run this store. I never wanted this town, and whenever I'm here, it's all I think about. I get so fucking claustrophobic from it all. Not from them, but from feeling like I don't know how to be myself here. From getting in my head about who I'm supposed to be, or all the ways I haven't turned out how they wanted me to. And then you showed up. His eyes flare, flashlights racing over the dark, searching, and I could finally breathe. His voice trembles, skates down my backbone, and my heart flips like it's inside a bingo cage. There's nothing wrong about you. I wouldn't change anything. It's almost a whisper, and after a pause, he says, You've never needed to. Not for your shithead exes, and not for Blake Carlisle, and definitely not for your sister, who loves you more than fucking anything. Fresh tears stinging my eyes. He just barely smiles. I honestly think you're perfect, Nora. Even though I'm too tall, I whisper tearily, and I sleep with my phone volume all the way up. Believe it or not, he murmurs. I don't mean perfect for Blake Carlisle. I mean, to me, you're perfect. It feels like heavy machinery is excavating my chest. I knot my hands into his shirt and whisper, Did you just quote Love Actually? Not intentionally. You are too, you know. I think about my dreamy apartment, sun pooling on the armchair under the window, the summer breeze wafting in with the smell of baking bread. I think about schlepping off the train, sticky with heat, paperbacks and towels tucked into a bag, or freshly printed manuscripts and brand new Pilot G2s. My city, my sister, my dream job, Charlie, all of it exactly right. The life I would build if it was possible to have everything. Exactly right, I tell him. Perfect. His eyes are dark, sheening as he studies me. My heart feels like a cracked egg, nothing to protect it or hold it in place. I could stay. He looks away. Nora, he says quietly, apologetically. Just like that, the tears are back. Charlie brushes the hair from my damp cheek. You can't make this decision for me or for Libby, he says, voice thick and rattling. Why not? Because, he said, you've spent your life making sure she has everything she needs, and it's time someone made sure you did. You want that job at Loggia, and you fucking love the city, and if you need to save money, take my apartment. It's probably half the price of yours. If that's what you want, that's what you should have, nothing less. I try to blink the tears back, instead, losing them down my cheeks. You should have everything, he says again. What if it's not possible? He tips my jaw up, whispers almost against my lips. If anyone can negotiate a happy ending, it's Nora Steffens. Despite, or maybe because of, the sensation of my chest cracking clear in half, I whisper back, I think one of those only costs $40 at Spa. He laughs, kisses the corner of my mouth. That brain. Neither of us leaves the shop that night. I don't want to leave him, and I don't want him to feel alone in the dark and quiet. Even if it can't last, even if it's just for tonight, I want him to know that I've got him, the way he's had me, the way he has me. For once, I sleep like a rock. In the morning, I stir awake and piece together the night, the fight, finding Charlie at the bookstore, falling into each other again. Afterward, we talked for hours. Books, take out family. I told him about how Mom's nose used to crinkle just like Libby's when she laughed, how they wore the same perfume, but it smells different on Libby than it did on her. I tell him about Mom's birthday routine, how every December 12th at noon, we'd go to Freeman Books and browse for hours until she picked out one perfect book to buy at full price. Libby and I still go, I said, or we used to, every December 12th at noon, 12/12 at 12 o'clock. Mom used to make a big deal of that. 12's a great number, Charlie said. Every other number can go to hell. Thank you, I agreed. At some point we drifted off, and I awake now to the realization that in our sleep we've begun to move together again. I kiss him awake, and in a heady fog we give in to each other, time grinding to a halt, the world fading to black around us. Afterward I lay my head on his chest and listen to his blood move through his veins, the current of Charlie as he plays with my hair. His voice is thick and scratchy when he says, maybe we can figure it out, like it's an answer to a question, like the conversation never stopped. All night, all morning, every touch and kiss, all of it was a back and forth, a push and pull, a negotiation or a revision, like everything is between us. Maybe this could work. Maybe, I whisper in agreement. We're not looking into each other's faces, and I can't help but think that's purposeful. Like if we looked, we couldn't pretend any longer, and we're not ready to give up the game. Charlie threads his fingers through mine and lifts the back of my hand to his lips. For what it's worth, he says, I doubt I will ever like anyone else in the world as much as I like you. I slip my arms around his neck and climb into his lap, kissing his temples, his jaw, his mouth. Love, I think, a tremor in my hands as they move into his hair as he kisses me. The last page ache. The deep breath in after you've set the book aside. When he walks me to the door sometime later, he takes my face in his hands and says, You, Nora Steffens, will always be okay. 33. Libby sits on the front steps, wrapped in one of Brendan's old sweatshirts, 2 cups of coffee steaming on the step beside her. Neither of us speaks as I close the distance, but I can tell she spent the night crying, and I doubt I look any better. She holds out a mug. Might be cold by now. I take it, and after another strained second, perch on the step, dew seeping into my jeans. Should I go first? She asks. I shrug. We've never been this angry with each other. I don't know what comes next. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner, she says, like she's trying to shove the words through a too narrow doorway. All the way over here, I wondered if laying into her would give me some sense of control, but there's no outcome to force here. What I want is slippery, uncatchable. There's days when there was nothing between us, when we belonged together more than we belonged anywhere else, when it felt like I belonged. When did we start keeping things from each other? She looks surprised and hurt, almost impossibly small. You've always kept things from me, Nora, she says, and I know you were trying to protect me, but it still counts when you pretend things are okay and they're not, or when you try to fix things without me knowing. So is that what you're doing? I ask. You kept the fact that you were moving away from me so that, what? It wouldn't hurt until the last possible second? That's not what I was doing. Fresh tears sprang into her eyes. She burrows her fists against them, shoulders twitching. I'm sorry. I touch her arm. I'm not trying to be mean. She looks up, wiping her tears away. I was trying, she says through a shuddering breath, to win you over. Libby, in what universe do you need to win me over? I'm sorry for making you feel incapable. I was trying to help, but I never thought you needed to be fixed. Never. That's not what I mean, she says. I wanted to win you over to... She waves towards the meadow and the sun-dappled footbridge, the flowering bushes swaying in the breeze and the thick piney forest covering the rolling hills. And then the rest of us clicks. The list wasn't about Libby trying on her new life, and it wasn't about saying some spectacular goodbye or making a last-ditch effort to save me from a life of sleeping alone with my laptop. It was a sales pitch. Brendan wanted me to tell you right away, she goes on, but I thought that maybe if you came here, if you saw what it could be like, I wanted you to come with us. Her voice cracks. And I thought if you realized what life could be here, maybe even met someone, you would want that too. But then you started spending time with Charlie, and God, it's been so long since I've seen you like that, Nora. I was going to let the whole thing go, but then you said he was staying, and it just seemed like you could want this too. Like I could have all this and you. I feel so empty, wrung out, like I've been treading water for weeks only to realize the shore was a mirage. This is Libby, who never asked for anything until a month ago, admitting what she really wants. For me to follow her, and I want to give her what she wants. I always want her to have everything she wants. All the organized compartments in my mind came crashing down last night, and for the first time I see it all clearly, not the tidy, controlled version of things, but the mess of it, when it all spills loose. Libby and I have been caught in a slow boil of change for a long time, one path splitting into two. There's no less room in my heart for her than the day she first came screaming into the world. But there is less time, less space in our daily lives, other people, other priorities. We're a Venn diagram now instead of a circle. I might have made all my decisions for her, but now that I'm here, I love my life. I was asked to apply for another editing job. I get out. Libby blinks rapidly, tears clinging to her sparkly blue eyes. What? I stare at the tree line beyond the meadow. Charlie's job at Loggia, I say. They want someone local and he's staying here, so he mentioned it to Dusty's editor. I'd be taking over some of his list, and then I'd start acquiring my own too. It's your dream, Libby says breathlessly. Something about that word sets off fireworks through my body. Nothing else comes out. She reaches for my hands, squeezing them hard, her voice cracking. You have to do it. My chest cramps as I study her, the only face I know better than mine. You have to, she says through tears. It's what you want. It's what you've always wanted, and don't put it off again, Nora. It's your dream. It's not something I've waved my hand in a vague spiral. Done before, she says, and if it didn't work out, you can do it, she tells me. You can do it, Nora, and if you fail, who cares? Well, I say, me. Her arms coil around my neck. She shakes with something halfway between more sobs and giggles. You're going to have the world's best guest room here, she cries. And if everything goes to shit there, you'll come stay with us. I'll take care of you, okay? I'll take care of you how you've always taken care of me, Nora. I want to tell her how perfect these last 3 weeks have been. I want to tell her this is the happiest I can remember being in so long, and it's also the worst pain I've ever felt. Because all those gaps between us are finally gone, but the impact of the collision has shaken every last remnant of the ice loose, leaving nothing but a soft, pulpy tenderness. So all I can do is cry with her. Somehow, it never occurred to me that this was an option, that two people in the same hug could both be allowed to fall apart, that maybe it's neither of our jobs to keep a steel spine, that we can both survive this pain without the other shouldering it. I don't know how to be without you, Nora, Libby squeaks. I never thought I would be, and I know this is right for me and Brendan, but fuck, I thought you and I would always be together. How is it possible for two people who belong together to belong in two different places? Maybe I won't even get the job, I say. No, Libby replies with force. Don't try to fix it. Don't choose me over you, okay? We've done this for years, and it's almost broken us. It's time to just be sisters, Nora. Don't fix it. Just be here with me and say it fucking sucks. It does, I say. It does. I scrunch my eyes tight. It fucking sucks. I don't know the power of those words. They fix nothing, do nothing, but just saying them feels like planting a stake into the ground, pinning us together at least for this moment. It sucks and I can't change that, but I'm here with my sister and somehow we'll get through it. You can take the city person out of the city, but the city will always be in them. I think it's the same for sisters. Anywhere we go, we won't leave each other. We couldn't even if we wanted to. And we don't. We never will. Brendan meets the home inspector at the house, but Libby and the girls stay back with me, giving him some much-needed quiet after his weeks as a solo parent. They're not moving in earnest until November, a month before number 3's due date. Until then, Brendan will be back and forth getting the house ready. 2.5 months. That's how long we have left together, and it's going to count. We spend the morning wandering the woods, trying to keep the girls on the trail and Googling, what does poison ivy look like, every 45 seconds, never getting any closer to a concrete answer. We take them to the fence, and the horses clomp over eagerly to be petted, despite our lack of bait. I guess we know where you and I stand, Libby jokes as the girl's little finger swiped down a chestnut mare's pink snout. Afterward, we take the tin buckets from the cottage's cabinet out to the blackberry thicket at the edge of the meadow and pick and eat plump berries until our fingers and lips are stained purple and our shoulders are sunburnt. By the time we arrive home, our knees smudged with dirt, Tala is fully asleep in my arms, sticky and warm, and we pour her onto the couch to keep napping. B leads us into the kitchen to explain the art of blind baking a pie crust for the blackberries. She and Brendan have watched a lot of Great British Baking Show, but this month, and I feel like a city person through and through, but maybe it's possible to have more than one home. Maybe it's possible to belong in 100 different ways to 100 different people and places.